Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela. There was another one of those times when it connected so fast it confused me. That's why I was probably looking strangely for a while. Okay. Usually it takes like many seconds to connect, not like already live. Alrighty, what's going on? Who is in? Mandanimal, Shari D, Logical Danger, Eliza Powell. Looks like that's it. Not so many people today. Joe Blorzen and Gaynor. Did I say that already? General Sorrow. So yeah, one of you was talking about somebody was a fan of certain movies and knew all of them, and now suddenly he doesn't know them. Oh look, I am buffering. No, okay, looks like I'm all right again. Suddenly he now hardly knows any movies. He doesn't remember a movie that you saw the movie with him, and he says he never saw it. Yeah, it's weird how that is. I think I told before about a coworker that loved Disney like there's no tomorrow and missed work because she was going on a trip to Disneyland with her kids, and it was already pre-organized and blah, blah, blah. And then months later, she then... And I mean, she always talked about Disney too. And then months later, she's like, oh no, I don't really like Disney that much. Just my kids like it. And I'm like, well, you have like this Disney fan sticker on your car still. And she goes, yeah, that's just for my kids. And I'm like, well, you went on that Disneyland trip and you work. And she's like, oh no, I went on that trip to go play pickleball. And she even showed me all of the, like some of the video of the tournament she went to and stuff. So I don't think she was lying or anything. There wouldn't even be any reason to do it. In fact, since we're both pickleball players, you know, it would have had more cachet to say that you're missing work for a pickleball tournament than to just go to Disneyland, which you could do at any time. Whereas tournaments are, you know, on certain dates, so you have to go on that date. Plus you have all your partners that you have promised to pair with, so you would be letting them down. You know, it would be a lot better excuse. There'd be no reason to say Disneyland. So it was so weird. Gentlemen, we've got to protect our phony... Okay, I don't know what that must have missed the story here. Oh yeah, I did get a haircut. Thanks. It came out good. You know how it is. You get the same haircut, but sometimes it just lays really good. It looks like this is going to be one of those. So thank you. Fast connection too. Yeah, that's right, huh? I complained about it connecting too fast, and then it's like, okay, we'll fix that for you. Even More American Graffiti. Is there a movie called Even More American Graffiti? Are you serious? I've never heard of that. Pickleball timeline. Yep. It's so weird when a part of someone's personality changes. Yeah. Yeah, that one probably bothers me the most. What is pickleball? So it's the fastest growing participation sport in America, last I checked. And it is kind of taking over. And it is basically like you have a badminton size court. You lower the net down and you have paddles. And then you have what looks like a wiffle ball. It's not exactly a wiffle ball. And you smack that wiffle ball over, and it's like ping pong, except for you stand on the court. Or maybe a little like tennis, but there's an underhanded serve. Yeah, you could say it's like kind of like tennis. I would say it's more like ping pong, but tennis might be a little easier to imagine. It's a lot of fun. You can have fun immediately with it. Like as soon as you're not totally suck at every sport, you know, if you're like vaguely decent, then you can have fun right away with it. But it still is pretty hard at the higher levels. So there's a lot of room for growth too. But unlike tennis, you can usually hit the ball over and have a game, you know, early in your career. You don't have to practice a lot before you can do anything. So yes, lots of fun. I think Life Matrix was saying it was a weird Mandela for him. So it's not really new. It started in the 60s. There's definitely seems to be people from timelines that are like, what in the F is pickleball? But I'm not one of those, but I do feel like there's strange things with pickleball. It's a long story there, but there is a More American Graffiti 1979. Now, I was a little young then, but still, that does seem a little strange. I wouldn't swear on it, but any chess players? Nope, can't help you with that one. Okay, so, I have one really interesting Mandela, and I probably should save it to the end, but I can't resist. So, how do I want to say this one? Okay, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. We know there's an old Mandela, and the old Mandela is, does he say this or the? And a lot of us remember him saying the at a certain part, and now he says this. So now this is a different one. I'm gonna sing. I remember the, but I'm gonna sing this because it's this in this timeline, and I'm gonna ask you which one you remember. Do you remember the song going like this? Does it go, it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood? Okay, and that's option A. And I'll repeat option A is, it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. Option B is, it's a neighborly day in this beauty wood. That's option B. So did he sing A or did he sing B? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood. A or B? A or B? So A is like a sentence you've ever heard of, and B is really not like a sentence you've ever heard of. Dark Wolf is in. Dark Wolf, we have another Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood one for you. Now, this one came from. Wait. Who got me this one? Oh, this is from commenter on the channel, Butthole Winker 34. Okay, so good find, Winker. Option A, singing voice. Thank you. When I just have like one or two lines, I can usually keep it okay on key, but sometimes I can get pretty lost if it goes a long time. So option A is a beautiful day in the neighborhood. In this neighborhood, actually, is what they sing. Or option B, it's a neighborly day in this beauty wood. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? So the is gone. That much is still true. It used to be the, now it's this. But this is a different mandala. So basically, does anybody remember it's a neighborly day in the beauty wood? And obviously, Dark Wolf remembers it. Eric Kraus does not apparently remember it. Jumping ship is A, so we've got, is there an option C? No, there's not an option C. It's one of those two. Okay, there's A. Okay, option C could be both. All right, so we got a number of both, so option C is both. So let's go there. A, Joe Bloor, and Gaynors is C. Option A for logical danger. Shari, I'm thinking you might want to say both then if you got option C. A, C, A, C. Mandanimal is a C. C. Okay, so option C is actually it, and it was a trick question, but a lot of you caught the trick. So he sings both in this. I have never heard that second line. And I used to sing along with it all the time. And I talked with some other people, and they've never heard of it. So I'm going to just run the clip. So first he comes in the front door, and he's like walking towards the closet, and he says, "It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Would you be mine? Could you be mine?" And then he gets to around the closet, or sometimes he's over by the shoe taking off, and then he sings that other line that I've just never heard of it, and apparently Mr. 34 did not remember it either. So I'm going to play this little clip. I think I can get away with short clip. PBS, hopefully they won't come after me. So here he is singing the second line, and I've checked a number of videos, and he always sings the second line, and it is the official lyrics.
It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I have.
Okay, so you get the drift. Don't want to play too much of it. And if you scroll down here, it is in the second, what is that called? Stanza, I think, or something. The second batch, as the official lyrics. A neighborly day for a beauty. It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood. A neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? So instead of a beautiful day for a neighbor, it's also a neighborly day for a beauty. I forgot about that. Yeah, that line also has just, to me, it's such a massive troll. A neighborly day for a beauty. Okay. I mean, that actually sounds a little pervy. A neighborly day for a beauty. Okay. I didn't see any other real obvious changes other than this. It's this neighborhood and this beauty wood. It used to be the neighborhood and no beauty wood. So yeah, I don't know, dudes. Some of you are from this option C timeline, but I sure am not. And a lot of people, Dark Wolf, your cohorts over in the rabbit hole do not remember that line either. So that was interesting. The second line is so bizarre. The kind of thing I would have laughed at as a kid, but it doesn't sound. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like a big troll, especially after we had all those Mandelas about this neighborhood. And I was not picky about which rendition of the song when I was checking for this. And I have never heard this, it's only the second batch of lines. So I know, Eric, I know. Don't ask me. Don't ask me what is going on. So, I mean, as a kid, I guess you could say, let's just goof up this song and, keep it interesting and be silly. That would be something that kids might think was funny. Except for I've never heard of it. It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborly day for a beauty. A neighborly day for a beauty. I don't know. It just seems a little bit less. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. It's gibberish. Yeah, I don't know. Too friendly. Yeah, that's it. It's a little too friendly. Yes, I agree with you there. I feel like that. Especially what we've seen with some of the other changes. Mount Rushmore looks weird. I'm not even gonna touch that one, sorry. Okay, let's yeah, I don't have a million of this today. So I think we have time for me to see if I can get the indicator Emmy photos to load for Mount Rushmore. We'll give it a try. I looked at these about a week ago and I didn't see too much. There's like subtle little things, but let's see. What was the story? It looks weird around Lincoln, you said. All right, let's see. Whoops. Give it a moment to load here. So like a week ago, I did notice little things. I do feel like maybe the gun shape over on the side of his face is a little bit more defined. It also looks kind of like the barrel looks a little fatter and a little, it's like bigger, but it's less orderly, maybe is part of it. Like the tip here doesn't quite match with the barrel the way I remember it. I see there seems to be some kind of a flat area in front of this little shack thing that's up here, and a dark area that I don't remember. But it's kind of subtle. Oh yeah, and this little clip thing here looks offset from the gun barrel. It used to be kind of on top of it. So it looked like part of the gun, and now it looks separate. So that is a change. But like I said, I saw that like a week or maybe 2 weeks ago. So looks like there's like a little nub here. I don't know if you could see it that far over actually, because my face is probably there, but it's probably not worth me trying to clarify. So there, that shows it. So see, this is over here. It used to be that this would kind of come up and this was on top of it. But see, this looks more defined to me a little bit now. Oh, you know what the other thing I noticed? Okay, I did notice this like a week or two ago. His hair, it looks kind of like a bouffant now up here. I just don't remember it being that big. So it's kind of goofy. There is a little like circle right there that I don't remember being there. That's weird. It looks like a giant nail, head of a nail or something. Like, now this one's interesting because like I looked at this the last time, and I was going to make a comment because I remembered it with the edge of his eye being right at this wall. And when I looked at it a week ago, his eye was out, away from this wall. But now it's back. So I can't. In fact, it actually looks like it's a little behind the wall now. So that's interesting. So that's changed from last week. It was a very short-lived flip-flop. All right, I think that's it. I don't know. Have I said the thing that you're looking at? I will go back and see if I've covered it. Yeah, okay. Shari agrees on the hair. I remember Mr. Rogers got arrested in the 80s with cocaine. I don't think that happened now because last I checked, there was like only good stuff. Oh, Life Matrix is in. Is he really? Oh, yeah, I was just talking about you. Now, what? It was good or not bad anyway. What was I saying? Something about some Mandela you covered before. Oh, the pickleball one. That was it. I was talking about your pickleball confusion. I thought Pee Wee Herman, did Pee Wee Herman get arrested for cocaine? I thought it was just that bathroom thing. So, Life Matrix, if you missed it, there's a line now in Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood that some of us don't remember. And after the first lines, the first four lines, he says, "It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine?" So a lot of us don't remember this weird joke lines in here where it gets all reversed. A neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborly day for a beauty. I don't. Do you remember that? Because I don't, and neither does Mr. 34. I'm not going to say his whole name again. One time is enough because of what it is, but that's why everybody's going, beauty woods? What? Lincoln is down. Okay. I think we had that on like a month ago, though, that Lincoln was way down. Seems smaller. That's a good point. It does look a little smaller, a lot like Statue of Liberty. This pic shows the tunnel behind the heads. Okay, so let's go back to there. Doink. So I do, yeah. So that's a short tunnel. The one thing I have noticed is this tunnel seems to be getting bigger. I think we're going to get more on it because when I first got it, you couldn't see it that much. And like this outer cutout before you go in has gotten wider, and it's just definitely easier to find than it used to be. And back here somewhere I have one that there. I really noticed on this, you couldn't notice it super easily originally, which was why I put this giant red arrow, because you'd be like, where is it? Hey, but now you totally see it. So the other thing that's weird about this is I remember that you could see Lincoln very clearly in this image, and now it's almost like, I guess he's down here now, so you don't see him. But originally when I got this image, Lincoln was, I mean, you would only think there's 3 people in this one now. And even he dropped a while ago, but I think he's turned more. I think that's part of it. He's turned more, and that's why you can't see him. But for me, him being lower has been a while, but I just don't remember this bouffant haircut, this funny hair that he has now. I didn't see that till like a week ago, this thing. So, anything else? Is it the hair? Is that what I was supposed to be looking for? Because if so, I found it. Franken Lincoln. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Is this like, if I put my hair up higher, will I be Lincoln? I recently learned that the ivy plant is not a parasitic plant, and it provides many health benefits for food and birds. So for me, those roots that stuck on to things, but it wasn't actually parasitic, other than it would hang on, like if there's a tree, it hangs on it, but it's not like sucking lifeblood out of the tree. So it wasn't parasitic in that way. And that's why it can climb up walls and stuff, because these roots like clamp on to like anything, even walls and bricks. And so we tend to hate it because although it's not parasitic, once it gets going, it's like very invasive, and you rip it all out, and it's a lot of work because of those feet. So you can't just yank it off. You're like, and then you dig and dig and dig and dig, and yet it comes back in like 5 minutes. So then you have to poison. So it's like, it's like, the gift that gives on giving in a really bad way. I thought pickleball was an Emmy, but who really knows? There's some weird stuff about pickleball. I've kind of went into it before, but, like basically I played it in high school, and it was my favorite sport in the entire universe. And then I after high school, I couldn't find any place to play. And then I never heard of it again, ever. For like, decades and decades, I hadn't heard a peep about it. And then I'm like, I want to see if pickleball's around anywhere in San Diego. And then I found like dozens of places. I mean, all over San Diego. And so I was a little freaked out too, because I'm like, I have not heard of pickleball in decades and decades, and it's everywhere. How could I have not heard about it in decades and decades? So I thought I thought that this just was a weird Silicon Valley thing, and that's why I couldn't find it. And I don't know. It's just a little weird. And then right after I started playing, you had your show on, oh my gosh, what's pickleball? And I'm like, this is just kind of trippy. It's bad for wood, holds the moisture near the wood. Yeah, and it does that to houses too. Yeah, you can rip it off, but you'll have root blobs. Like getting those off is like, extremely difficult. So you'll just see they've ripped off the plant, but there's little roots everywhere, and they'll just leave them because it's such a nightmare trying to remove those. They're like basically welded onto the side of the building. Whatever happened to that building up the hill? Oh yeah, the dimensional building that was a lot like the dimensional hotel of like Life Matrix, but came later. It hasn't changed. It kind of established itself, and it went through a series of changes. And I haven't noticed any changes in a while. There was some weird things with the trees and in front of it and stuff, and I've discussed those. But one weird thing is like, there were all of those avocado trees, and then so first they were natural wild shrubs and lilacs, and then they turned into older avocado trees, not really old, but a nice age avocado trees, like boosh by magic. And then shortly after I noticed that they magically turned into avocado trees all in front, they cut all the avocado trees down or something. It basically, they were all gone in like one day. And I'm like, I'm not sure if that's possible, because like you can't cut down 200-300 avocado trees in one day and dispose of all of the leaves and branches, and then me not even see any trucks or anything up there. I mean, it should take at least days. I drive by there like every day. So that was weird. But suddenly it was just barren, and there was no trees, no shrubs, no nothings. And then it stayed that way for a while. And then suddenly they planted avocado trees again. I'm like, the other ones were fine. And I don't know. I don't know what's going on. So now it's baby avocados. And, I guess maybe the old ones were too old to produce, but they didn't look that old, and I don't get it. Maybe did they sell the house and somebody else wants avos? It's a little weird. I mean, you can't prove that's a Mandela, but it's still a little strange. Okay, so we got the Mr. Rogers one. So this one now, I have gotten heads up on some weird catfish kind of stuff. I've been talking about it for a few weeks now. I had two different people suggest this video. One was Mark Tyus, and one was the person that I chit chat with on email. Both, I don't know, it must have gone viral somewhere, because you both came up with it around the same time. And I will go to the YouTube video. So there's actually two. I already had it on my list in a more specific form, and I had this video on my list to do that I saw maybe a week ago, not before last week's show. But basically, if any of you have ever had aquariums, freshwater aquariums, you'll probably know about plecostomus. They call them plecos sometimes. And they're a fish that will sucker their sucker mouth onto the glass, and they eat the algae on the glass. So I think they're a little bit more omnivorous now, but it used to be that they would say you need a pretty big aquarium with a fair lot of algae, or don't get a plecostomus. We just call them plecostomus, okay? And that was it. There was no special things about them other than they were pretty tough and you needed a lot of algae. Now, like maybe they eat more of any old thing, but they are now called armored catfish. Now, my old ones did not have armor. I've never heard of them called armored catfish. So they are now armored catfish. But the other thing about them is they can survive outside of water for 30 hours. So if they jump out of your aquarium and 24 hours later you find them laying in the dirt on the ground, you could pick them up and put them back into the aquarium and they will recover even if they were dry like the effing Sahara Desert. Okay, so this guy, I mean, I don't know if this was done on purpose, and it might have, and I would definitely say it's really cruel and mean. But the only other thing is that these apparently are now considered an invasive species taking over our little planet, and I've never heard of that either. So maybe this one isn't an aquarium one, and that's why they went ahead and did this. Wouldn't do it to a fish. But okay, so they have this dried out fish here by picking it up and throwing it down. All right, so wait. I want to show him grabbing it. Here it is. He grabs it. No, I missed it. Here is where he grabs it. Grabs it, throws it down. It's totally dry. Then he breaks off a piece of the tail and shows that it is as dry as a Sahara tail. And you can see here the eyes are... see if I can find it. The eyes have sunken into the head because it's that dry. Then he takes some water and he pours it on the mouth and it starts breathing. As soon as it moves, it starts breathing. Okay, so now some are saying this one might not survive because it got too dry. I don't know. Maybe we need another shift or something. But basically, this guy could live if you throw it back in. And then they said sometimes they become blind afterwards, but they still survive if the eyes are too dried out. So I don't know. I think I've never even heard of this. I've been covering these creepy fish walking through forests and drying out and stuff pretty diligently. Yeah, this one has escaped the storyline. You can find it under... so this is interesting because it just made the rounds now, but it supposedly was under subreddit RWTF 2 years ago, and I very much frequent this list, and I have never seen it on there. 2 years ago, I have been frequenting it for 2 years. And then it made the rounds again, and this is the older one. But I don't think that this was in my timeline 2 years ago when this video was supposedly first made the rounds. Zombie fish, yeah. So plecos, I mean, you aquarium people, have you ever heard of any of this stuff? So they're saying if they dry out too much, the fish can become blind. Even if you throw it back in the water, it might survive, but it might be blind after that. Is the current storyline. In my old storyline, 30 hours out of water is a dead effing fish. What happened to the fish Dan found in his mother's aquarium? It was a huge algae-eating fish. I don't know what that story is. Corn maze. When did I first hear of it? I heard of corn mazes like a year or two ago, maybe. I could say maybe 3. That's stretching it though, I don't think. I did start hearing of them recently, and then I'm like, oh, they're making mazes out of corn. Gosh, I really think it's only been like a year that I've heard of that. the more I think about it. Pandemic was already in high gear. And I remember thinking, you know, you lost the crop, you know, you lost a lot of corn. I think I'm always really practical like that, you know, wasting of corn crop. But I guess you could just not plant them in those areas. I don't know. But yeah, that's pretty new for me. I mean, it's logical. So yeah, new for me. Freeze-dried sushi. I don't think they're going to taste that good. Okay, so there's the crazy dried fish, Plecostomus. And here's the video. Fish, that. So they breathe air. I do remember a number of fish could breathe air. Gosh, do I ever see a pleco breathing air? I'm not sure if I remember them being one that could breathe air. I don't have that in my mind. I don't remember ever seeing one come to the surface, unlike goldfish, for air breathing. So I'm a little suspicious, because all of the old air breather ones I knew of, you would see them come up for air sometimes. Breathe air. I mean, it would have to now. And some places are, you know, saying that they keep the air in their stomach. Now, I've heard of it in a modified swim bladder, but not in a stomach. Eats wood and is hard to kill. Now, they were hard to kill, but not that hard to kill. So here's the video from Mark Tias and PJ, so thanks for that. They weren't so hard to kill that they could literally get hard and not be killed. Taking a long time here. So they kind of go into that these are armored catfish. And like I said, I've never heard them being called armored catfish. Stop. Stop.
Every animal tries to avoid being killed.
I don't want the voiceover. Look. Okay, here we go. Stop. All right. So there, first of all, I've never seen this kind of Plecostomus where it has all these tentacles. There was just one kind, the kind you saw there. There's a whole bunch of kinds now with creepy tentacles and stuff. Wait, here's a good video of it. I mentioned before this tentacle business. It's like there's a whole, I mean, they're like a can of worms on the catfish's face now. Used to have one set of whiskers. That was it. Then there was like kind of 1.5 or 2. But now it's like, I mean, like, ew. It's starting to look creepy. It used to look cool, but now it's like, yikes. Okay, so a bunch of things showed up with this video. One is apparently a lot of catfish now have spines on the top of their head that are retractable. So you won't see them, and then they can just stick them out like, so this guy here shows it at the bottoms. They're just tiny tentacle things, and then they can ram spines out. So say a fish is going to eat them, they'll just stick these things out, and suddenly you've got a spiny mouthful. So that tricked me out. I've never heard of any. And then some of these spines are now poisonous, okay? So catfish now have poisonous spines. So I'm like, how are these noodlers that, if you've heard of noodling, it's when they stick their hand down and feel around for catfish in the banks and burrows and just yank them out by hand. They call it noodling. How can you safely noodle when you've got fish that not only bite, but they have poisonous spines that could come out, and some of them they said are really poisonous, you know, like dangerously poisonous. There's one of the spines. There's another one. I mean, that's ridiculous. They did not have those. Now these little guys, I had these. These are another aquarium fish. I forgot the name. I think they just called them white catfish or something when I don't remember the scientific name on these, but I had these. And there's albino ones, and I used to get the albino ones, but these guys now are armored such that, like, if a piranha bites them, the piranha can't chomp through them. So, like, anywhere along here, or the head is so armored that it's very hard to bite. So you bite, and it won't get through these armored scale things. Now, the only place you can bite is right on the gills, because the gills aren't armored. So that's a giant hoo-ha baloney thing for me. They did not have armor like that. They were tough, but, like, I did accidentally squish one once and killed it because I couldn't catch him. I was trying to clean my aquarium, and I spent hours, that might be an exaggeration. I spent a long time. I even took out almost all the water, so it was only this high so I could catch him, and I was trying to scoop him for the longest time, and I ended up squishing him against the glass, and I killed him. And I didn't squish him that hard. If he was armored, he would have been totally fine, because I did not squish him as hard as a piranha fish bites. So that's another reason why I'm like, no, they weren't armored. But now they have these little scales that are all armored. And you can see them here on this x-ray. There's these things. And I'm like, no, that was not true. Let's see, what's this part now? I forgot. I'll just go. I think they're talking about their weird breathing skills. All right. So there's a little bit different ones. They're all under this armored catfish story. And there's some that go for the walk. So another thing was the catfish now, they'll just go for walks, and they're not the lungfish. So the story was that they have to be able to stay out of water for a really long time because birds would catch them and then get, like, stung or poisoned or poked and then drop them on the ground, and they would be too far away from the water, so they had to, like, wiggle all the way back. That's the story now for why they have to be able to be out of water for long periods. Okay, there's another kind now. I'm trying to think. Do I have everything I wanted to say about these guys? Oh, okay, I forgot that. So one part was saying some of these catfish, they actually hold the plecos, they hold this, and some of the catfish too, they hold the air in their stomach, but they can only do it if they don't have too much food in there, which I thought was weird. Okay, and there was there's two more things we're getting to here. Now there is also a catfish that eats wood. Have you ever heard any fish that eat wood? So the story now is they've got these really sharp, raspy teeth. I think it's this guy, yeah. And they go and they rasp onto this wood and they eat it. And so then how do they digest it? So there's a whole, like, confusion about how they're getting sustenance out of this wood, because they're said that their digestive tract looks like normal in morphology shape, and there's no special. So some people are saying, well, maybe it's bacteria in the gut, but there's no special gut chambers for holding bacteria like you normally see. So some people are saying, well, maybe they're just chewing up the wood and extracting out, like, algae and microorganisms. I'm like, it seems like an awful lot of work to go through for a few microscopic organisms. I mean, the energy that you would spend scraping would probably be greater than the benefits of a few microorganisms. So that seems really weird. But we now have, like, this fish that eats wood. So, I mean, they weren't really clear. These things eat, like, dead wood only, or do they eat, like, live wood? I mean, if a tree puts its root down there, is it going to get, like, are these like the gophers of the lake or something now? Are they going to, that was very unclear. I think this is very new, and we might hear more about this coming up on the mechanisms of how they're getting sustenance out of here. An additional weird thing, let's see. Let me see if we can get to it. Here we go. And I've never heard of this either, but apparently it's coming up. The plecostomuses, the plecos, they now love to stick onto manatees. And they're not eating the manatee, they're just apparently like slurping on the slime and algae on the manatee. I mean, like the manatees, what? There's that much food that like 30 plecostomus can slurp off of it and still be happy. I mean, it seems to me like they would have this manatee cleaned off in about 5 minutes and then move on. But no, so they're saying now that these invasive plecostomuses are causing trouble by exhausting manatees by sticking all over them. And just, you know, being a big drag. And I don't know. The stories are so weird. I'm like, it doesn't even, I mean, I feel like a kindergartner made up these stories, frankly. So, yeah, anyway, I think that covers it. So they're saying, oh, well, these poor manatees are getting exhausted and it's inhibiting their survival skills. I'm really suspicious because I feel like there's way more manatees than I remember in any way. But so again, it really seems like it's often the narrative is these plecos are depleting the manatee population, but I feel like there's a lot more than there used to be. The story of how corn was around during Jesus' time is evolving. There was an Egyptian contingent in North America ages ago. We're visiting with Central Americans, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I don't remember. I remember like the conquistadors found corn from like the New World and brought it back. That's what I remember for where corn came from. And then they had to learn about pellagra because you can't just eat a lot of corn and not, it's got phytic acid and you can have problems if you just wail on corn and you don't soak it or anything. Yeah, so there's a million kinds of catfish now, but yeah, it's the kind, I don't know. As far as I know, they're all edible. I've never heard of these have the spines that can go back and forth, and the retractable spines and the poison spines and the wood-eating catfish kind. And so can you eat all those kinds? I don't think those kinds even existed before. I mean, catfish are going to be like indestructo fish. If all of these traits combine in one species, I don't think every catfish can do every one of these things. Happens. I mean, so you can have a fish that can like live outside of water for long periods. They're armored. They can eat wood. They got venom spines. I mean, like, come on, man. This like really is a Terminator fish. This is like crazy. Now I want sushi. I never want sushi. Actually, I do kind of want sushi. That's kind of a funny story because my friend had to go to they were just doing some kind of inspection thing, but they did have to put him under. And so somebody had to drive him back, and he had been under anesthesia. And he wasn't as loopy as some people, but he was definitely not as smart as average. And he's like, let's stop for sushi at this place where it is. And he goes, yeah, it's just off the freeway. And I get off the freeway where he says, and I'm like, well, where is it? And he's like, oh, a little further. I'm like, I thought you said it was 2 blocks from the freeway and we drove like miles. I'm like, there's nothing down here. We're out in the middle of nowhere. There's no more stores. I'm turning around, and I'm starting to figure out that maybe this is the after effects of the anesthesia somewhere along here. I'm like, are you sure? And he's all, oh, it's at a Ralph's. I'm like, there's no Ralph's around here. And then I look on my phone, there's no Ralph's. And he goes, well, just go to any Ralph's. I'm like, but you said it was a one specific Ralph's. Now it's any Ralph's. And then, oh man. And then it just went on. And finally I'm like, that's it. I'm going home. And then the next day he said, yeah, we weren't. And I had asked, "Are you sure it's this road?" He's like, "Yes, yes." And then at the end he goes, "Well, maybe it's the wrong road." And I'm like, "We're going home." So yeah, he was that quest for. I part of the reason I put up with it is I wanted sushi. I'm like, it does sound really good, but yeah. So we never got it. There's like this one place that makes really good sushi that he gets sushi from. I've never been there. Then he's like, "Well, you know where it is." I'm like, "No, I've never been to that place." He's like, "Well, remember I told you where it was?" I'm like, "All you did was wave your hand and say it's over there." I never even saw it. It was just so weird. Anesthesia, man. I don't know what to say. So yeah, later he told me we weren't even on the same right road, and so I'm glad I finally at least turned around. There is a lady who knows she was from Orion originally. She has a group on Facebook. Orion or Sagittarius? Because Orion is... Oh, Orion. Okay. I think... I don't know what to think on all those things. I mean, you could make it up. Maybe it's real, but there's a lot of fakers. There's no way to know. It's like if I didn't see Mandela's, I probably would have thought, what's up? Are you all, I would be very skeptical if I didn't see about Mandela's, because I would wonder why everybody's remembering Arctica or something, but at the same time, it'd been a hard pill to swallow. Now that I've had to deal with the Mandela, I guess anything's possible. So I don't know. Native Orion people who do not remember ever being on the Sag arm on the outer edges of the galaxy. Okay, so they remember stuff more like it is here, and I would not remember so many Mandelas, I would guess. National Geographic once had a map of the Milky Way, showed we were toward the outer edge, yeah, like way out there. She says she's from Orion, but not the version we are in now. Could be, I don't know. It's no weirder than the Mandela itself. Oh, I'm not touching the politics. All of the more recent politicians to me are a giant troll concept, and not just the current one. But so I'm an equal opportunity scoffer at current politicians. Despite what side you're on, I will still scoff at you. Politicians, not you personally. Okay, what else we got now? Okay, what's that thing at the beginning? It's a Congo tigerfish. Basically, I couldn't find a really good picture of the plecostomus that actually looked weird, so I went ahead and found another creepy fish. And I think this was on that guy on TV who catches crazy fish, who I've been suspicious another way for the reality to introduce people to the newer crazy fish, the new timeline fish, by having this guy catch them one at a time on a fishing show. I don't think in my old timeline there ever could have been a show on fishing. Like that is not going to make for good TV in the old timeline. There just wasn't that many. After you did the marlin, there was a few short documentaries on marlin fishing, but not a whole TV show. So there you go. So that guy, that famous dude, I forgot his name. That's him though. And it actually isn't a bad show. And I was just laughing at these fangs. I may have even had this on before, but I really needed a thumbnail image, so. And I'm pretty sure I haven't had this thumbnail on before. These teeth are freaking ridiculous. So it's like tiger teeth, literally. And I've never had a fish with those kind of mammal teeth in my old timeline. That's just crazy. I mean, a lot of the current, and this is a big fish too, not so tiny guy. A lot of the current fish have crazy teeth. Crazy. don't know why it did. Lately, Swiss cows, the image won't jump so easily to that one like before. There's another. Look at that. That's like ridiculous. It's like a nightmare, frankly. Having those things in the... I mean, it's like there's little sharks everywhere and biggish sharks everywhere now. It used to be sharks had the teeth, not like everything else. I mean, there were fishing shows on 11 a.m. on Monday or something. There wasn't like a prime time fishing shows. That's what I mean. Or on some channel that nobody watches, sports network on 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever. There wasn't like prime time, really entertaining fishing shows that people who don't even fish would watch. That's more accurate. Yeah, there was one on there. I have seen some on tuna fishing, though. Yeah, that is true. Tuna fishing, that show. There's a lot of fake bull on that show, too, though. Like fake drama and arguments and stuff. And that's more recent, I might add, too. Everything in the water could bite you now. Yeah, I know. And so many things are venomous now, too. It's like, a lot of the sea anemones, they're saying, are venomous enough to hurt humans now. Before, they were venomous, but only to small fish. It was never enough that it never had a kind of venom that would affect humans. So, we would go to the tide pools and touch the anemones, and they stick on your finger, and it feels kind of weird. And it just was very addictive because it just felt kind of weird, like it just like touching sticky tape underwater or something. But now they say don't touch anemones because you could get poisoned. I'm like, whoa, nothing is safe anymore. I feel like I can't touch anything because you don't know. Just because it was safe before, it does not mean it's safe now. Beware the super deadly sun. Is that dangerous now, sunfish? They didn't even have sunfish in my old timeline. Sunfish. All right, I'll type it in. Who knows, man? I don't know. You could troll me on any of this stuff. I'd be like, really? Are sunfish No, they're friendly. Not aggressive or a threat. Okay, so they're just big enough that you could fall in their mouth by accident. They are getting bigger every 5 seconds. It's getting ridiculous. What? I can't see any of these. Well, that's pretty rude. All right, we'll let it go for now. All right, this might be an old one. I kind of remember hearing this one, but somehow it's making the rounds, and I'm going to cover it anyway. So Catherine Jenkins brought this one up. This one, I probably should have looked this one up earlier, but... Oops, no. $34.4. Too many D's. All right, so I do remember the thing about God being a jealous God, but there's now a part I don't remember. So this is Exodus 34:14, and it goes, "Do not worship any other God, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God." And I don't think it went like that. I think it was more like, for the Lord our God is a jealous God. That's what I remember, something along those lines. It is a jealous God. The Lord is a jealous God. or our Lord is a jealous God. But it was not whose name is jealous is a jealous God, which is kind of stupid anyway. His name is jealous? Never heard of that one. So Catherine Jenkins found that one. Yeah. No, that was not how it was. Sunfish are in ponds? Sunfish are in... I thought that they're saltwater. Freshwater. We have freshwater sunfish now? Because that would be new. So slow. So slow. Freshwater sunfish. Okay, so crappie count as a sunfish? So I do remember there being crappie. I'm just going to see what crappie look like lately, because do they look like sunfish now? Because I just remember them looking like fish, not like weird short bodies and stuff. Man, it's so slow. Okay, yeah, they still look like ordinary fish. Yeah, they are a little short. And they're a little more speckly than I think I remember, but okay. I wanted to see if they suddenly they were cut in half. Overview of freshwater sunfish. So they're saying that those species are sunfish now, I guess is the story. I wonder what the true freshwater sunfish looks like. So they're not like, they don't have those sawed-off tail-looking things like the sunfish and moonfish have. Bluegills are... I've never heard of them being called... I've just never heard of that word sunfish. I've heard... I know bluegills. I know crappie. So they're basically saying these old school fish are sunfish. Just like they're saying plecostomus are armored catfish. I've never heard of that. And they didn't have armor. So now they have armor and other catfish have armor. Red breast sunfish. Is that the freshwater ones? I'm just curious if they look weird like those ocean ones. So slow. Do 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 do. Nope, they look pretty ordinary. They just look like fish. Alone is in. Not sure who that is. Sun bear and moon bear. But there's also sunfish, moonfish. I don't remember either of those. At least not the freshwater kind or saltwater kind. Anyone else having lucid dreams of being in a kind of ZCHI? I don't know what that is. Zchi. Is there a typo there? Because I don't know what that is. Fat finger disease, right? Yep, on the phone. Then you get spell corrected, and then who knows what you'll end up with. Okay, so let's got that one. Got that one. I think I've colored this a bit. Covered this a bit. But it seems like we're getting a new level of these polar bears just hang out. Now, I only remember polar bears on the snow. Okay, then we started seeing ones were turning green because algae was growing inside their furs. Well, apparently now, like, they just hang out in the grassy fields and stuff in the summer because we've talked before about Canada getting less and less snowy. They just hang out now on the grass and the fields and I'm like no, that's not right, but that's how it is now. Some of these might be zoos, but there aren't all zoos. Like Churchill Wild, this is just Churchill. It's kind of on the not super far north, but kind of the east, Canada, Churchill. In the summer, they just hang out like regular bears. They're not on the snow that much, like, so they were saying like in the summer, they just rest and get ready for the hunting season, and they just kind of snooze a lot and hang out. And I'm like, well, isn't that what they do during winter when they hibernate? So the old story for me was that the ice shelves were breaking up and disappearing, and then there'd be no hunting grounds for the polar bears, and they would all like die out, and they're critically endangered because of lack of ice shelves. But now I guess they just hang out on the land, and it used to be that they had to hunt in ice, but now it's no big whoop. This is just normal bear life, and so I'm like, I guess they rest in the summer until hunting season in the winter, but then in the winter, aren't they supposed to be hibernating? So did they have like a very tiny hunting season? They're better at fasting now, apparently. I don't know, but it's just tripping me out with this polar bears in summer. I'm starting to see all these images of bears on the fields and here they are in the flower fields and in the it's not right. This is not right. So that's what they do in the summer. For me, they were always on the snow, and that's why, because they were adapted for hunting in the freezing cold snow. They didn't just chill out in the flower fields. So a lot of this is Churchill. So I'm thinking maybe this is kind of the edge of the territory. And as it seems like they're getting less and less snow, and more of Canada is having less and less snow. So right now, most of these images are from Churchill. And I'm thinking that might be where the line is, where the polar bears can get to the flowers and stuff. But apparently they don't require having really good snow all the time anymore. It's just not necessary. What's stopping them from just eating what every other bear in the universe eats in the summer? See if I can find that original thing. When they just hunt for fish, and what's stopping them from doing all that? A fierce north merrily in summer. Canadian photographer Dennis Fast has taken some astonishing pictures of bears in fireweed fields. He was staying at the lodge of Churchill Wild, place that advertises easy access to polar bears. Fast saw the animals rolling around, stretching, laying about in the fireweed, and seized upon the opportunity. Most people are familiar with shots of polar bears in the ice and snow in Hudson Bay, in northern Canada, and in other polar regions. They are so ingrained in people's minds that you might think that North experiences only winter. Polar bears will play with anything in their environment. I have seen a huge male hold several blades of glass in his giant paws and chew on them for a long time as though he enjoyed the texture. So more stories that there could be all lost. It seems highly unlikely to me at this point. All right, I'm going to see if I can find that bit where they said they rest in the summer. If you want to see polar bears in the summer, you have to start early. There's a lot of prep work to be done. Starting in February and following the den emergence quest in March, flights have to be organized, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's go. Okay. When most people start researching a trip to see polar bears in Canada, they usually discover the traditional polar bear viewing months of October and November in Churchill, Manitoba. But at Churchill Wild's remote fly and eco lodges on the Hudson Bay, our guests actually start seeing polar bears in the middle of July, shortly after these grand carnivores come off the ice. There's nothing more exciting than seeing your first polar bear of the season. It never gets old, and this is the time of year when the bears are often just off the ice, pure white and gorgeous. To get our polar blah blah blah, let's see. I'm trying to see if I can find that part where they say they rest in the summer. So now there's a thing, you catch them just off the ice and they're white. Now, I have mentioned for a while now that they seem strangely dingy quite often. So now apparently they're only white if they've been on the ice recently. All right, that bit is not in there, but I did see it somewhere like last week. They say everything around us is a different vibrational reality. Only when our vibration matches theirs can we see them, and they jump into our reality. I have wondered about that. It's a good as explanation as any, certainly. Explain how we see different things at different times, and how I could look at a jacaranda tree and see purple flowers, and somebody else could just suddenly go, oh my gosh, I never saw purple flowers on a jacaranda. We could have been looking at that jacaranda standing right next to each other, and they could have seen white flowers and I could have seen purple. And unless we discussed the colors, we would have never known. Now there's a mix of brown and polar. Yeah, that one's been around for a bit. Growler bear. Yeah, I have covered that one. all the planets in the solar system are going through a climate change. Yeah, it is funny because there has been massive climate change, Mandela style. All this talk about climate change, and indeed that whole narrative kind of hides a lot because all these weird animals are showing up in places, and people have never seen them there, and they go, "Oh, well, it's climate change. That's why they're here." So if some weird thing shows up on the California beaches, oh, it's climate change. That's why you never heard of it before, because it never was here. But nobody ever heard of it before. Everything gets blamed on this climate business. And yet we are seeing climate change, like 2/3 of Canada not looking all that white anymore. And they're not covering that. They say, oh, it's 1 degree warmer. I'm like, 2/3 of the snow is gone. But no, it's always been that way. It's weird. Okay, got that. Polar bears in summer. All right, I'm done. That's it. So unless you guys have anything, I didn't have that much. Maybe I'll just look at those indicator photos while we're here. But like I said, I looked at them not too long ago and I didn't see too much. I guess I'll go forward and finish. I've already covered those. This one's getting so complicated, I'm not sure I could see a change if we had any more. This was a fairly simple looking map when I first put it up. All of this wasn't here. All of this bit here wasn't, whatever these are. It's like, I don't even want to look at it anymore. I'm like, whatever. That's interesting. Okay. The morphology here, I do feel like these grizzly end bits are getting all like, so this is the part that it's the spine, but the attachment points are getting kind of gnarled. And I have noticed that slowly developing. The other thing is somebody drew a pencil circle on here, and that was not on there the last time I looked at that. It doesn't have anything to do with the morphology, but there was somebody scribbled in pencil on this unit. This one is weird. It does change in ways, but a lot of it's not the morphology. Like originally it didn't have one down over here. And then a while ago that showed up. Now we've got pencil scribbles showing up. You know what's weird about this image is I remember her centered over here. I don't remember it off to the side like that. It should be. So somebody just snapped this photo, but now they snapped it a little offset. Oops. Why did it get big then small? It's just subtle things. This one, like the snake, gets slowly bigger and a little more ornate. He's slowly getting a little more ornate, this little demon. And he's also getting a little bit larger. Just little details. He was sort of simplistic when he showed up, and now it's just very slowly getting larger and more defined and like muscle structure and stuff. I still haven't figured out what these are. One of these days I'm going to learn what these little nodules are. The rest looks pretty close. Haven't been too many changes in this one. This one might be kind of set. These ones still changing. We were talking, some other people are talking about like the simplicity of geopolymer. And so geopolymer is basically like cement kind of things. And it looks like it's fairly easy to do, at least in this timeline, using lye and stuff. And somebody was just telling me, I forgot who now, I wasn't planning on talking about it, so I didn't write it down, but then suddenly I looked at this and thought about geopolymer. Like none of this really looks like it ever was stone. It all looks like it was some kind of plaster stuff almost now. And in my old timeline it was stone, but it seems like we're getting to a narrative where a lot of this stuff was just like poured in place. It's not stone anymore. I feel like these have gotten smaller compared to this again. They're still centered in the same way, but so the overall shape is the same. This is what's creepy to me. It's like, is this place even real? Because how could the road have the exact same shape on this image, but yet the pyramids appear to shrink, which means that all of these roads in here have to be different now. So, is it even, like, are there any real humans even living there? That it would have to be so shifty. So this is the part of that creepy statue behind the Pope in the Vatican. This is supposed to be Jesus, and it's creepy because he's getting chewed up. I feel like it's just very slight more chewed in the corner there, but it's subtle. Also, you know what? The one thing that is different, there's like a dent in the head over here, actually. I don't remember that being there until recently. This is looking even less like hair, too. Because before this was his hair like blowing in the wind, but now it's just him getting rotted away. But looks like a dent has arrived over here. Oh, you know what? The other thing? So, yeah, there has been some shifts in this. So he had like a beard that was coming out this way, and then part of it was getting chewed. But now there's some kind of a weird, this is not normal hair here. And it's kind of flowing over this side of the face. So there's continued degradation of this image here. Oh, and you can see part of his mustache has been degraded. So yes, it started on this side, but now we're seeing this dent. And this, it's like hair, but it's not. Part of the stash is missing. And it looks like a little bit of washed outness around the eye here. So this degradation here of this image is now on this side as well. How they're going to pull this off, I mean, like, it's not going to be even Jesus-like anymore. And then what are they going to say it is? Yeah, that's some creep. So here's the larger image. Still trying to figure out what these blobs are supposed to be. Some of them are sort of looking like little butts now, I've noticed. Just now. Yeah. Slight changes in here. They got the court jesters. Seriously, the court jesters surrounding the Pope. So that's the official outfit now, is to look like a court jester. Yeah, okay. Any changes in this one? Not really seeing anything obvious in here. All right, let me just check on what you guys are saying. Boink. There's a prophecy about when the Sphinx closes his eyes. Yeah! I never heard of that prophecy ever. Did somebody just look at it and notice the eyes look weird and blanked out? I don't know. The earth will heat up to a point, then it will cool itself off with an ice age. Happens every time in this cycle. Except for the cycle keeps changing. You know, when I was a kid, they said the next cycle would be an ice age, not a heating. Now we're going to heating, then an ice age. And if you look at the historical patterns, those keep changing. So, you know, next week we might find that there'll be the next stage will be utopia for 1,000 years. Who knows? All right, let's pull this back up. Other than the division between the two face sides, God, he almost looks like he's got Bell's palsy, doesn't he? The two face sides are so different. Like, that eye is so different from this eye now. And like this side is all poofy and puffy and jowly, and this side looks like atrophied. So it's been a very slow progression in that direction, but it's getting rather extreme now. Okay, that's the end. Let me flick through then to the front ones. That's the dimensional house on the hill. Looks like it's been pretty stable. I had thought maybe these would grow up or something, but they haven't. Same number of trees. This is interesting. There's one change. I don't remember this palm tree in the front. There was 2 palm trees and that was it. There was not this one. That is interesting because there's been a couple other places around here where I'm like, I don't remember. It's actually out my back window. I now see a bunch of palm trees and I don't remember those being there. And that's not that's a different place than here. So, we might be getting more palm trees. This is like, actually, now I'm come to think of it, that's like the 3rd time in the last 2 months that I saw palm trees I didn't remember. And a few of them I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure they weren't there, but I wasn't sure. But with this one, I'm quite sure that this wasn't there. So yeah, there is more in my area. Lots of old changes, but I'm not seeing any real obvious new changes on these. I think there's some additional bird turds on these other than, don't remember this guy having turds on his nose. The nostrils definitely are a little more flared with more stuff, but we covered that a few weeks ago. Stomach looks the same. See, doesn't this little demon look a little larger than when it first showed up? This continues to get larger here. That's my local area. Still has the extension cord out that way. Thing that looks different here is there's like a smoosh of like lighter area up there. It used to be like a blackened sky. I don't know what that is. They're all little subtle things though. There's nothing like really extreme, and then some of these I don't really see anything. So this one was interesting. I feel like the guy is smaller in comparison to this. I just don't remember this whole sculpture being this big. This is a precursor to the one we saw before. Now I can't remember the name of it. Mount Rushmore. Yeah, it's a precursor to Mount Rushmore. When I covered this before, I just didn't remember it being that big. Okay, and one other thing now, a while ago I said suddenly this one got really like, it's overexposed and you can't see it and it looks all weirdly blurry. Now that's happened over here too. This is also suddenly. So the head looks like it's sort of floating there weirdly. There's some weird stuff about this. The eyes look weirdly black here. I don't think I remember him looking like he had demon black eyes. Uh-huh. Okay, so yeah, see, like this one, that's actually gotten worse back there. It got blurry, but you could still see the images. Now it looks like he hasn't done that one yet, and before it had been done. So yeah, some changes on there. I guess if it's a bigger one, it might have taken him longer to do it. So he's not as done yet. Oh, one other thing on here. I don't remember it being done this low. Before it was kind of like the mountain was here and then the done up here. But now this weird, creepy, half done, monkey looking, furry hand is down here. Okay, so that's one other change I notice. Nothing really major on there. I was looking at this one. I feel the one change here is this blue thing had kind of, this padding underneath the top femur, it kind of been sneaking in there, and suddenly it's quite large in here, this area. So I guess we're getting more knee padding now or something, or they just depicted it as such. I think that's it. Yes, that's it. See, I've still got 20 minutes left. Did you talk about anatomy related to sex organs? The sex spots are here. I've had it on before. I haven't really looked lately. Four-leaf clover's in. Welcome, welcome. We're almost done, unfortunately. I got done kind of early today. Oh, yeah, you're right. Lincoln's hair is big in that one. Yeah, yeah. So that makes sense that there'd be changes. Let's see. Let's go back to that one again. It's not as poofy, though, here as it is in the real one. Whose hand is in the middle? Yeah, that's a good point, huh? Yeah, who is that? So obviously it's not that close to the current one, but whose hand is that? Um I guess it would have to be Lincoln's. It's not that one. Oh, it could be this one. Yeah, maybe this one. The angle is weird though, I have to admit. It doesn't really fit with any of them. It's like it's coming down from too low or something. Was it even that well delineated before? I'm not sure on that one. Was his ladder on a hand? I can't remember. This part looks weird. Anxiety attacks much rarer. Are you having less of them? Is that what you're saying, or just people in general? I have been, I've been fasting a lot, and I do feel a lot better lately overall. It was hard to get used to, but now I'm getting used to it. I feel like my brain is clearer. Although I have to wonder sometimes if, I just get the idea to do this when the time and the shifting is right, and suddenly I go, now I'm going to do fasting. Or did I choose to do fasting and then get better and I was totally the causal power? Or if it just, if it's all connected and I come up with the idea when it fits to have that idea, it's kind of tricky. What was first, the chicken or the egg? Anxiety attacks for me from the medicine much rarer. Well, that's cool. Hopefully other people are getting healthier too. I think everyone, regardless of their culture, religion, politics, feels that some big change is upon us. Yeah. Yeah. I think everybody does. And I do see people commenting on weird stuff like, how could the year go by so fast? And even young people. And I didn't used to say that when I was young. Just little things that we know are Mandelas, they'll comment on them and go, I don't remember this happening. And I'm like, yep, it's a Mandela, but they don't know about the Mandela. So whenever I feel overwhelmed, I listen what's happening in me, and 99% of the time it's what I get from people outside. Much time around a lot of other people, so I am kind of susceptible to the group energy, certainly, but I think we all are. It does help if you can kind of wall off the negative at least, or kind of, be so strong that it can't alter you in that direction too much. Like, it's sort of like if a flame burns really bright and you try to douse it with water, the water just evaporates off. It can't douse the flame if the water is too weak and the fire is too strong. So something kind of like that. If we are strong in our own and stable in our own emotions and stability, then everybody else's instability cannot overwhelm us easily. So we can just sort of be our own separate power inside, and I think that's what we got to work on. It's sort of like when you do, it's a kind of a bad analogy, but yet it's a good analogy. It's like when you do dog training. So you train a dog to sit and stay and this and that, and you do it in the living room, and when they get good at that, then you do it in the yard. And then when they get good at that, you do it on the street and on walks. And, you might try it on walks anyway, but the point is that you're upgrading the difficulty level. And then pretty soon you want to have a dog that'll sit and stay if 15 cats walk in front of them and a squirrel is chirping in the bush nearby and a fire engine drives by, and, you're getting to that level. So that's kind of how I feel about, mental stability, and first if you can do it alone, but over time, the next level is to do it in a crowd of anxious people, maybe just a crowd, then a crowd of anxious people. Can you do it when an emergency is happening around you? Can you keep your head and keep calm? Can you do it when you get a surprise bill for $6,000 or something that you didn't think you owed? Can you still keep calm? It's just like upping the difficulty level. So that's why I say I don't agree with avoiding people completely, even if there is a lot of negativity. It's parceling it out so it's in manageable bites and improving your ability to deal with it over time, I think, would be the important thing. So, it's easy to be meditate as a monk in a cave, I would say, more so than, at the park where some kids are bouncing a basketball and children are screaming and, next level. But yeah, I do feel it's gotten harder, people. It's, and I've noticed it with just people getting along, like they just argue over stuff more, and we used to just be maybe with the higher energies, and everybody is more volatile, and we've got to relearn and work on that. So anyways, I think I'm pretty much done. You know the drill, everybody. Thank you for coming so much. And think good thoughts, everybody. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.